29th of March 2023. This is one of those what the fuck moments again, and I'm going to talk about politicians. Here in South Africa we sit with a situation that it's quite obvious that the ANC is busy imploding, and a lot of people are wondering where they should cast their vote. Now, the DA is the main opposition, but I've got a problem with the DA, and in my mind, to put it simply, I think they have a split personality, or actually schizophrenic, because it depends on which personality is in charge of the moment. That is the type of narrative that you get. Now, on the one hand, they are good administrators. Nobody can dispute that. They do a good job. Wherever they got to manage a city or a town, they do a good job. But then on the other hand, when that WEF personality is in charge, you get crazy things. They were not violently opposed to the things that the government did to us during the pestilence. They pushed the jabs. They're still doing it. Although Zilla is now saying no, there should be some investigation because apparently she has been, let's call it, blemished by the jab. And then we've got this situation where they follow the WEF narrative and support Ukraine, which is, those things are Nazis. Look how they're persecuting now the Christianity. They're burning churches. That's what they do. So those are the two things, the two personalities of the DA that makes them, for me, totally unacceptable. Completely. I cannot handle that because the globalist agenda is basically to wipe us out. And that's what it is. But let's look at a few politicians that has made the headlines. Let's start off with this one. She's the foreign minister of Germany. She's from the Green Party, and I cannot understand how the Green Party can associate themselves with a war that is polluting, but hypocrisy is at the order of the day. Her name is Annalena Baerbock, but as Alex has baptized her, Annalena Dumbak. She would be remembered for standing in Kiev in front of Zelensky and saying boldly that she doesn't care what the German voters want, but she'll make sure Germany will support Kiev until the end. And then she made that statement in their parliament where she said they are at war with Russia. She walked that one back, and the party machines walked it back and all of that, and said she was misquoted and shit like that, but that's what she said. And then she made that famous statement of Russia must make a 360-degree turn in Ukraine. 360-degree turn. Somebody should sit with a piece of paper and show her what 360 degrees is. And then we get to this guy. Now, I'm not going to spend time on everything that was involved in him getting into that position because it got me nailed once. I'm not going to fall for it again. But he is geriatric. He is most of the day, at the best, semi-confused. He is an out-and-out newcon. He is a total committed disciple of the WEF, and he will be most famously remembered for Operation Boomerang that he unleashed against Russia, and that boomerang has come back and is destroying Europe and is now beginning to take a toll in America. So there we have him, Joe. And then we get to this guy, Anthony Blinken. He is supposed to be the #1 diplomat of the West, but he makes statements like he will go to the G20 meeting, but he will not communicate with the Russian or the Chinese foreign ministry. That is your #1 diplomat This guy is more like a kindergarten preschooler. He's not, now if you compare him to Lavrov, not to Lavrov, Lavrov, there's no comparison. And then we get to this idiot, famous Borrell, famous for his statement that Europe is the garden and the rest is the jungle. That one has come back and bitten him a few times, but again, this is a guy, he makes decisions and he makes statements that affects a lot of people's lives. He was most famous for his crying about the fact that African leaders don't pay respect to the EU delegates while they're standing in queues to shake the hands of the Moscow delegates. Crybaby. And then we get to this guy. Now this one is not a politician, but the reality is Klaus Schwab has got control over most politicians in the Western world. And they are in his pocket and they do what he says to do. Rishi Sunak in the UK is the appointed WEF governor of the UK colony. And then we get to this one. Ursula von der Leyen, but as Alex baptized her, Ursula von der Crazy. Now she will go down in history as the person that has got the superpower to destroy the economy of a whole economic bloc. That's one of her achievements. She has destroyed Europe's economies. And it should go down and be painted on her wall of remembrance. She's also famous for her statement that the Russians are stripping washing machines and fridges to get the chips out to keep their aeroplanes flying and to make missiles. That is the type of idiot that is having a great influence on people's daily lives. Then we get to South Africa, and who can forget this oak? Fikile Mbalula, or is also known as Veer Fokol, but it's more true that he knows Fokol. This man has fucked up every department where he was minister, and he left the Department of Transport in shambles. But that is what you get in South Africa when you appoint a minister that cannot manage a spaza. A minister that has got no life skills, no life experience, nothing. He's just politically well connected. This guy is as dumb as a plank. And then we have this little group photo of Biden's administration officials. Look at them. From the one side to the other side, all part and parcel of these confused, mentally disturbed people. But they have the power to influence American people's lives tremendously. And then we get to this guy, Olaf Scholz. Rubberneck jellyfish. He's supposed to be the Chancellor of Germany, but he's actually an assistant working remotely in the office in the shithouse in Washington, because he doesn't make a move without Washington's blessing. He is the guy that was in charge of Germany while America blew up their main gas supply lines, and not a word or a beep from him. I don't know how he will go down in history for the Germans. And then we get to this one. She has now retired or resigned or whatever, but Jacinda Ardern, under her control, the people in New Zealand were absolutely bullied beyond belief. But she's one of Schwab's princesses, and she made a lot of money during the pestilence. Millions. She retired a very rich woman after screwing the lives of millions of people. And now all the numbers of deaths and stillborns and things is coming out, and yet I don't see justice. And then we get to this Senator Lindsey Graham from America, a warmonger second to none. As far as I'm concerned, he's got rabies and should be taken to the vet to be sorted out. And we know how a vet sorts out a rabid dog. This guy, he said that Russia will get no off-ramp out of the war in Ukraine. He's also the guy that wants America to attack Mexico. He wants America to attack Russian airplanes in international airspaces. This guy is really crazy. But he makes decisions and drives programs that affects ordinary Americans, and the ordinary Americans apparently likes it to be abused. And then we get to this oak, Dmitry Medvedev. He is the second in command of the Russian Security Council. He was president of Russia at this stage. Now, this guy, there's a lot of people that reckon he will be a successor to Putin, and the West must not hope and wish for that, because this oak is not Putin. This oak doesn't have the tolerance of Putin, none of that. If this guy was still in charge of Russia, Europe would have been burning. And then we get this idiot, now retired, after 194 years, but she leaves a legacy of destruction. And she is the one that has made a lot of good noises for Zelensky. And she is pumping, she was in charge of the grouping that pumped the money to Zelensky. Nancy Pelosi. Take a look at that crazy face and remember it. Then we get to this guy, Vladimir Putin. He's the president of Russia, as if nobody knows that, anybody that doesn't know that. But the fact of the matter is, he's the president of Russia, and he does everything he does for Russia and for Russians. And no matter what the Western media is trying to do, he is standing strong. And if there were more presidents like him, we would have had a lot less shit in the world. And then we get to this chick, Sanna Marin from Finland. She was the one that had the bright idea that it is a good plan to cancel a 40 or 50-year-old neutrality agreement between Finland and Russia. And she did that without asking the population of Finland about it, and then she applied for membership of NATO. Now, if you want to put a target on your country, that's the right way to do it. But this is what you get when you take these chicks with no life experience and put them in charge of a country. And then we get this Scott Morrison from Australia. Who can remember or forget what he did to the Aussies? It was horrible. And he carried on. And now we can see the results. The damages from the snake bite is for everybody to see. But yet, I don't see justice coming there. And then we get this, this is Shoigu. He is the Minister of Defense of Russia, and he's doing a good job of what he's doing. And he manages his portfolio well. But the West will never give him credit. And here's just a reminder of that jelly neck Schultz from Germany. Look at that. And then we get this guy. He's now in charge of England. He is the appointed governor of the UK colony. A fully fledged WEF governor with a fully fledged WEF colony. The UK doesn't have a say over their own matters anymore. They're in the hands of the globalists, and the globalists are bringing in millions of immigrants. The people are starving and struggling, but this guy can send billions of pounds and tons of UK arms and ammunition to Ukraine. And then this was his predecessor, Liz Truss, I have to name her. This is the one that so famously and excitedly on a television program confirmed, give me that button, I'll push it. Give me the button, I'll push it. That is what she will be remembered for. And then we've got this thing, this guy, Justin Trudeau from Canada. History books will show that he single-handedly turned Canada into a WEF colony, and people has lost basically all their rights. But what makes me fucking angry is that the people in Canada keep on tweeting and memeing about it, and they don't do anything to get this guy out of his fucking seat. And then we've got this guy, Khan, he's the mayor of London, and it is now Londonistan, formerly known as London. Another piece of England that is gone, and this guy is in charge of it. And then we've got this old woman. She is the secretary of, I can't remember exactly what they call it there, but in charge of the finances of America. She's got some weird ways of protecting the American economy, and she is overseeing the spending that is out of control, but she's not concerned about it. And then we're in South Africa, and look at that. That is our Minister of Defense. Now, I'm sure she can't defend herself against a fly, but she's our Minister of Defense, and this is the one that famously allowed a lot of the animals on her farm die of hunger because she didn't buy food for it and didn't pay the workers. But yet, this is the Minister of Defense. And then we've got Maria Zakharova. She is the spokesperson for Lavrov from Russia. Very intelligent woman, and she knows what she talks about. Compare her now with that little moped from the shit house, no comparison. And then we get to this one. Everybody knows him. Give me more money, give me more weapons. And that's all that you get out of his mouth. He is the guy that has locked all opposition parties up. He is the guy that is in charge of that actions against the Orthodox Church in Ukraine. He is the guy that is protecting the guys that are committing all that dark deeds in Ukraine. And this is the man that the West, specifically the EU and in a great part America, has allowed to drain them dry from money and for weapons and armaments. He is the one that is actually bringing the West down. And then finally we get to this one. Just look at this face, look at that. This person claimed to have all sorts of degrees, but there's doubt on her matric. And before you vomit, this is a minister, a new minister in the cabinet of Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, Cyril Ramaphosa is a different story. I don't even have an image of him here. The fact of the matter is, under his watch, South Africa got finally destroyed. If you like this, please give me a like and a subscribe and share it. Thank you for your time.